Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tesla Life number 170. Here we are into October 7th already. Welcome to the show. Thanks very much for joining us. And as per usual, we've got our regular panelists. We've got Mr. Casey Green joining us from the DC area. How are you today, sir?
Doing pretty well. Just waiting on another Tesla update.
That's right. That's right. And we got some of that, I think, in the show tonight, talk a little bit about. Also joining us, as per usual, Mr. Pat joins us from the Falling Ash State, I believe it's been changed to.
Yes, it's summer's over. The days are getting shorter, and here in Oregon, we have long, nice summer days, and it's a shame to see them going away because now my solar production is declining.
Oh no, yeah, that's when you know. That's when you know, and then when it starts to ramp off like that.
Yep.
Yeah. Very good. Well, we've got a ton of news, as is not a surprise. There is no rest in the world of the Tesla life. Tesla, first of all, a story came out by Teslarati about Tesla activating the heated charge port. Of course, this is another indication that winter is coming for us in the northern hemisphere, where there has been a change made to the charge port. Or actually, there's been a couple changes, but the most recent change allows the port to have a heater unit in it, so that it will heat the cord, the plug, and melt away ice that may have built up. There's also a drain area now in that same charge port. Will funnel water that's been melted and drip it out the bottom, so that even if it was to freeze a little bit later, there's nothing there to freeze. So that's an improvement. Now, this comes standard in all Model Ys because the change was implemented before they started to move them out on the production line, but it does not apply to all threes. If you are having a frozen cable charge problem, you can, of course, get your port changed under warranty, and you can just go to your Tesla service center and request that. But there have been, especially up here north, there was a couple of changes to it. I believe I have the most recent one, but of course now, as of, and we don't have a date, we don't have a model number or a VIN number, but of course Model 3s rolling off the assembly line now have the change as well. So if you've got a Model 3 that was recently rolled off, you obviously have that new charge port already. But something to be aware of as winter starts to rear its ugly head and start to throw around the white stuff. It is coming, and of course we can't avoid it, but at least we've got some mechanisms here now that's going to help with people that charge their cars outside.
Yep. And you had an early car. Did you go in for service, or did mobile service?
I did go in for service one day, and they had indicated there was a recall on my charge port. So
cool.
At that point, it was changed. But I understand there were a couple of them because they had a heater, I believe, put into it at first, and then there was an issue that there was no drain area, so you could still get water to collect at the bottom, and then if the car wasn't plugged in, it would freeze again. So there were issues, but it looks like hopefully third time's a charm. Next story. Wild demand in China for the Model 3. Again, we keep hearing this story over and over, and it just keeps getting repeated. But of course, what recently happened was basically there was almost an 8% price drop in the cost of the Model 3 in China recently, and that was to combine with a state incentive that Tesla enjoys because they lowered their price to meet that threshold. So the government subsidy was available on the Model 3, and that made a huge difference. And of course, people in China that were buying these cars or looking to buy these cars, they were watching to make sure that Tesla did obtain a price that enabled them to get that heavily amount discount and get that subsidy. And of course, they've started to buy in droves since the first of the month. So fantastic. Tesla selling a ton of Model 3s again in China. Record breaking, but not a surprise based on an 8% price drop. That certainly is quite a bit on the car, and anybody would be watching for that type of savings.
We should be seeing a couple of those DMV lines around the block.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Any day now.
Yeah, the camping outside the DMV will commence. I'm certain of that shortly.
So this is the nice thing about hitting a nice high volume, is that economies of scale start kicking in, and you can do things like price reduction and still sell the cars profitably. That's great. That's exactly what we wanted to see happen, because if you're just a low volume manufacturer, well, then you're not going to get great prices on all the parts that you need to buy from the hundreds of suppliers that you have to deal with. So this is awesome. This is exactly what we've been waiting for, is economies of scale to help bring the price down. And that's just been Tesla's history, right? Starting with a $120,000 sports car, moving into $80,000-$90,000 luxury vehicles, then down to the Model 3, and now even the price on that reducing. This is an awesome trend.
Exactly.
So in the picture for the article, it has all these cars out front of a Honda store.
Yeah, I was just going to share that. It's amazing that. Oh, I'm getting a bit of a lockup here. Here we go. Okay.
There we go.
So we've got all these Teslas lined up and fenced off, and Casey's right. There's a Honda dealership out front here on the far left. I'm not sure if Tesla is even in this mall, because even down here at the right, there is a red area, but that doesn't say Tesla. There's not the traditional Tesla labeling on this. So, and of course, here's a Honda sign out front. Maybe just Honda rented their space because they realized they're not selling any anyways. But
maybe that dealership's closed.
or is this at the base of the tower for the delivery center, or is that open yet?
I don't know.
Last week, yeah.
I don't know if this is the same one that we saw from last week, or this also could be, of course, it could be a historical photo, but I'm not exactly sure if this was referenced
in there.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. So it's, but of course they're getting them from Fremont at this point. So there could be some Model Y spattering here and there, though the vast majority would be 3s.
Oh, those are X's. They might be X's. It's tough to tell from the top.
Yeah. What compelling vehicle does Honda have lately that anybody cares about?
The Honda E something with the no mirrors and the cameras.
That's a prototype,
electric.
right?
That's real. It's
no, they're real. They're real now.
Yeah.
All right.
Europe and Japan.
Not coming to North America.
Local. No, it won't, because our lovely laws.
That leads us to our next story. Here we are in Los Angeles. Can you tell what's missing from this car?
Doesn't look like it'll go very fast.
It doesn't matter what size batteries in this particular model. It's not going anywhere. There seems to be an uptick in black market Tesla parts lately. Los Angeles police have notified the media about this particular trend. In this case, a car close to the Pacific in Los Angeles, in this particular jurisdiction, was unceremoniously dropped onto looks like some plastic bread holders, and wheels taken off and dropped, and that's it. Wheels and rims gone. And even if you have the footage, which this car didn't have, there was no report there was footage from the Century mode on this particular model, but with many people wearing masks, it's going to be really tough to identify who stole your tires. But this is an alarming trend, similar to remember all the break-ins of the when the Model 3 first came out, about the little pane of glass here behind the second set of doors, where people would smash this and flip your seat down to see if you've had anything in storage in the trunk. And if you did, then they would smash in further and go for it. If not, they would just leave you alone with a broken little triangle piece of window. But that, of course, sparked the adoption of Sentry Mode, and that made it a top priority to get into the car. And of course, the calls about that particular break-in procedure really dropped off once Sentry Mode showed up. So it seemed to be successful because we didn't get a lot more stories about it after that point. But here we are. You've got to be careful. I don't know if people out there are using lock nuts, if that even matters when a professional tire thief is, because I've heard of stories where they just bang a socket over the smooth surface of a lock and then spin it off anyways. So it really depends. But be forewarned if you're in the Los Angeles area that there's an uptick in wheel stealings at this point.
So one thing I noticed with all of these, this is like my sixth one I've seen now. Thankfully, they have mostly ended up on plastic crates rather than dropped on the ground on their brakes. And every single person has said, "Oh, I didn't have Sentry Mode turned on," or "I didn't have a drive installed." I wonder if they're checking to see if your Sentry Mode is on before they steal your wheels.
Oh, just like come by and bump it and see if you get the warning or whatever.
They can just wave at the camera and see if the screen lights up.
Oh, huh. Yeah, something that was meant to be a deterrent turns into an indicator on whether or not it's okay to. Oh wow, that's funny. Usually thieves aren't that smart. I hope they haven't figured that out.
I hope not. And then,
shh, don't tell.
Like Mark said about the wheel locks. I mean, these are stock wheels. I don't know what all is left to do to protect yourself at this point. I would understand if it was the folks with the upgrade to the sport wheels, the new ones, with the Pilot Cup tires on it. That would
right.
You can't have anything nice these days.
No, you can't. It's always a war, isn't it, between those who are stealing and those who are protecting. It just seems to be a thing that we all have to live. And of course, depending on what area of the country you're in, you could be at higher risk than others. So
this is the same as the window smash area, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So keep your eyes open, people, if you're in a hot spot for a black market. And here's another thing. If you start seeing people selling sets of tires and rims cheap on Craigslist, keep in mind it may be coming off someone else's car. There's no free lunch here. If you see something like that, more than likely there may be a problem with it.
I wonder if Tesla could do like they used to do with the Roadster, where they used to VIN stamp all the Roadster wheels. Then you know exactly who it was stolen from.
Right. And if that's, rubbed out, then you know that they were probably stolen. Yeah.
Like a gun with file 0 number.
Yeah, exactly. It's filed down, exactly. Yeah.
Well, our next story, Keys, is going to tell us about a German assembly line maker that was purchased recently.
And we're not talking a couple of years ago with Groman Automation. No, there was another German battery assembly line maker that was making stuff for Daimler and BMW. They had not been able to weather their situation with the pandemic, and they were filing for bankruptcy when Tesla came by and bought them. So at this point, it's unclear if they're going to do like Groman and just finish out their order book and just become Tesla exclusive, or if this is yet another case where Tesla is a supplier to other automakers like they've done in the past. And at this point, I imagine that they want to bring it in-house because, as we saw with Battery Day, they are not able to meet their own demand. but they are also still willing to service other automakers, I'm assuming, for a nice profit. So it'll be fun to watch this and see where it goes.
They must have got a great discount, considering that the company was going to file for bankruptcy anyways.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
talk about a bonus situation for if you were shopping for something like that.
Yeah, I was telling my wife about it the other day, and she said, "Well, why didn't Mercedes or BMW buy them?" And I said, "Well, they seem to feel that they aren't in the supplies business. They just put the car together and roll it down the line, and maybe build an engine or two. It's like same mentality as what we have here in the States, but
Yep, the
without
vertical
the
integration of other automakers is nowhere near to what Tesla continues to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and after battery day, like you said, Tesla is
later.
looking at growing out their production line, and here's a company that specializes in that sort of production, and great for the workers who, if their company was going bankrupt, they were going to be unemployed, and now instead they're Tesla employees. That sounds like a pretty good deal to me.
You know what this also reminds me of is Detroit. Tesla is becoming a large employer in Michigan, and they're doing the same thing in Germany. So like it's an area that's entrenched with other people. It's like, oh, not from here, and yet you got California just moving on in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, the big story of the week, which I'm not sure why I didn't lead with it, but quarter three information came out near the beginning of the week that indicated that Tesla has broken another quarterly record in deliveries. 139,300 vehicles delivered, and of course, over 145,000 cars produced in that same period, quarter three 2020. So again, a new record. The records just keep on rolling, and to be frank, I don't see them stopping. I see that records are going to be continued to be smashed quarter upon quarter as we move into 2021, because let's face it, Tesla's manufacturing is just continuing up. And as Casey mentioned before, they're selling everything they make. They can't even supply themselves with all the batteries they need. So they're literally being held up by themselves. So as they unlock new doors to create capacity, those cars are going to be sold, and the numbers we're looking at here now, which are, the top of the charts, never been any higher, are going to continue to get higher. So
you must be mistaken, Mark, because I heard that when the federal subsidies in the U.S. ended at the end of 2018, that was going to be it for Tesla, and they would never sell another car. So you must be reading that number wrong.
I must be reading the number from back in time. You're right, Patrick. Because there's as we've said before in this show, I see nothing but blue sky ahead for Tesla. Things are just getting better and better. We all thought the pandemic and the shutdown of the plant for 6 weeks in a previous quarter in 2020, we thought that would be troublesome. We thought, we knew they would recover from it because as things started to open up again, it would. But they even produced a profit in that quarter. This is, I just think things are going to just get better and better. I don't see an end to this at all. I think things are really working well, and of course, with Germany coming down the road of getting ready to be start to produce some vehicles, and Shanghai, of course, getting into the groove with the Model Y line. This is all just getting better every single day, and not even to mention the plant in Austin starting to build. This is all things that Tesla is going to be celebrating as time goes along. I can see that.
Yeah, they have 2 car factories now, and a year from now they'll have 4. So that's definitely going to have some upside.
Didn't understand what the analysts were complaining about this time around. They announced the numbers, new record as usual, and all of a sudden the stock started tanking, and all these people are like, "See, I told you so, no demand." I'm like, how the hell do you get no demand from greatest ever?
Greatest amount of deliveries ever.
oh, is it a demand problem? Is it too much
and
demand?
and even that,
they had
Casey,
that.
even that, we're talking deliveries into customer hands. Unlike other automakers that sell it to a
To the
dealership
lot, yeah.
that holds on to it and then sells it, we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about the customer received the car and paid for it. That is a Tesla delivery. Man, there is no lack of demand for whatever reason at this point. Things are rolling out the door and into customer hands immediately.
Yeah, the only thing I can possibly think of is they made up another number, pulled out of a hat like they did a couple quarters ago, and Tesla didn't hit that magical number by like 100 cars or some crap. But I didn't see it attached to that. I just literally saw people say no demand, no demand. I'm sitting there like, how do you set a new record if nobody wants your stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you're right, Casey. There was a market consensus that they were going to have something like 142,000 deliveries, and they came in at 139, and so the market's disappointed that they didn't meet some arbitrary number that the market made up.
Yeah, I love it when they do that. I mean, I would totally get it if Elon said we're going to do 5,000 this quarter and they did 4,600. Okay, they missed it by a little bit, or even worse, if Elon said we're going to do 10,000 this quarter and we did 3,000. Yeah, that would be a reason to punish them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that's the difference between Main Street and Wall Street, guys. There's a different perception of what's going on. So, but I don't know. I'd be willing to bet quarter four is going to be better than quarter three. So
Well, yeah,
here we go.
And why that quarterly thinking is stupid in the first place.
Yeah.
there's a bigger picture here about the trends that are happening over years and projecting that forward. That's what matters. Not did 3,000 cars in this quarter more or less is irrelevant.
But I mean, even on top of that, is if they made a profit. Like if they didn't make a loss, then they're doing the right thing.
Exactly. Well, and to boost that even further, our next story is about Tesla jumping into, I believe it's the world's third or fourth largest market. India is now going to be receiving Tesla. Elon had made a promise that he was coming to India, and he announced recently through Twitter that yes, 2021 would be the year that Tesla will arrive officially in India, because of course there's several Teslas in India now. It's just that they come via shipping container from other countries. But this is now the case that he's announced that 2021 will be the year that India starts to receive Teslas officially. And I imagine that will also, of course, follow with superchargers, service centers themselves, and of course the sales centers. So fantastic. Another new market for Tesla. I know that they had held off on India previously. Something about the foreign ownership rights. There was different percentages and things that were talked about, and it sounds like they've come to some sort of resolution with the Indian government. So fantastic. Another new market, and more of those sales that aren't going to happen, Patrick.
So on one of my videos, people kept commenting, "Oh, they'll never make it in India." It was an autopilot clip, and they're like, "Oh, they'll never make it in India. They'll never make it in India." But the clip that everybody was commenting on, the car invented a path, even though there was already a road. It said, "I'm going to go this way, and I'm going to do it now. I'm going to do it this way." And as we were talking about India, I was thinking maybe it was an India trial, so that autopilot will work in that just crush of dense traffic you sometimes see in the photos.
Mm-hmm.
Could be.
Yeah, definitely going to be one of the more difficult locations for autopilot to operate. But that's, they're there and they're collecting data. It's going to learn to navigate there. And also there's a group that I follow that's Indians for Traffic Safety, and they want to overhaul the rules significantly, have much more enforcement because they're just tired of the system that they have and how it's just traffic jam and people cutting lanes and all kinds of dangerous situations. So hope there could even be some reform. Who knows? But this group that I was looking at, they're sure trying to. They have all these awesome videos about here's what happens if you actually have rules and people follow them, and here's what happens if you don't, and just how they're all clogged together. Yeah. So who knows what'll happen? It could get a lot better.
Yeah, I was telling one of the people that it's going to have trouble with India and with Thailand. Those are some of the worst to drive in. But
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling that the shadow mode. I know that Green only doesn't like to call it that. Elon does. They might just literally be just like sending live video streams from your car in that situation, just to get a hang of it.
Yeah, certainly a different situation that they're going to be facing there for sure. In those large urban centers where chaos rules, it looks like, for sure.
Well, hopefully Tesla makes a difference, and that group is able to get them to actually enforce whatever laws they have, and maybe put some new ones in.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Well, our next story, Patrick's going to talk a little bit about some sacrifices and problems that legacy automakers see with a $25,000 Tesla.
That's right. So we've touched on this story before, but now there's an article in Teslarati that spells it out pretty well. It's from Simon Alvarez, and this is focusing on South Korea and how the $25,000 Tesla is going to be a very big challenge for the South Korean automakers like Kia and Hyundai, and how they have cars on average 39 to 40,000, 41,000 for the mid-size models, and going down from $40,000 to $25,000 is a big hit. And especially if this Tesla is a full-featured car, one of the advantages that Tesla has is they can sell this car for $25,000, and then they can sell autopilot on top of that, which right now is $8,000. By the time this car comes out, who knows? It's going to be $10,000, $12,000. Maybe it's still $8,000. Who knows? But that's a lot of as the car gets cheaper, and that add-on for autopilot is a lot more margin for Tesla. So that's a great advantage that they have that other automakers don't. Other car makers are not selling software, and you could argue that there's not a whole lot of even software companies selling this much software at $8,000 a pop.
Yeah.
So it's a huge advantage that Tesla has, and one of the other things is we were just talking about Tesla being profitable, but they don't have they're not paying dividends to shareholders. They don't have a large family like the Ford company family that has a bunch of stock and they expect these quarterly dividends. And without that baggage or burden, you're free to sell something at a loss for a while if that's the right thing to do to win a market, to grow the product, to hit the volumes that you need, to get to the economies of scale, so that you can then have a profitable long-term vision. Well, companies that are well established can't just drop back into that mode. That's not what their investors expect, their shareholders expect, their board of directors. So it really, when there's a disruption like this, if the company isn't a legacy company isn't allowed to adapt, it's going to die. So this is really putting a squeeze on a lot of people in the industry.
Yeah, with the South Koreans talking about this, Patrick, I can't imagine what's going to happen to the big three. Like the South Koreans seem to have their act pretty good together when it comes to marketing their cars, selling them at a profit that's acceptable to them. They're smart with deals of supplying their suppliers, receiving product, getting it at the right price. Man, if you come to market in North America with a car that's $25,000, what's it going to do to GM, to Ford? It could be a substantial hit to those companies. Maybe that's why they have started to get rid of cars altogether and move to trucks. But with the coming Cybertruck too, there's no place to hide from this. It's coming, and it's coming for all of them. I just don't know Does anyone see the writing on the wall yet? Are they too busy living quarter dividend to quarter dividend to not realize what's going to happen in a year and a half or 2 years?
And it's it, they're complaining that they don't think it's possible without some serious effort. But when you look at it further, Tesla has a lot less regulations to meet because they don't have an engine block to deal with when it comes to their crash safety. They don't have the emissions to deal with when it comes time to certify the car. So they're not wasting money on these things. And their interiors are very sparse as far as buttons and such are concerned. So they're not wasting time with a bejeweled clock around the upper air vents or some garbage. And I mean, yes, that might be your idea of luxury. I'm not making fun of it. I'm just saying that if you don't have to go and buy the diamonds and make the clock, that you can save that money and put it elsewhere in the car. So I have a feeling that even at $25,000, it's not going to be an econo box. It's going to be probably more premium than we're expecting.
Right. Yeah, and we've already seen people doing the Tesla stretch, as it's called, where you buy a car that's more expensive than maybe any car you've ever purchased before, because it's a compelling vehicle. It has great performance. It has sexy styling. It is electric, and so it has zero emissions. It costs less than, quote, $1 a gallon equivalent to fuel it. And all these things just make it much more exciting than a car that's half the price but gas powered.
And that reminds me,
Fargersville.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that reminds me, Patrick, I had a conversation on our Twitter feed, and if you don't know it already, it's at the Tesla Life. You can follow us there, and of course on Facebook as well, the Tesla Life #1. But had a conversation with a Twitter follower, and they were from Europe, and they were asking us, when do we expect to see used Teslas become more affordable? And unfortunately, I had to say that we don't see that happening because right now, with the Model 3 being a 2-year-old car, it's still depreciating under 10% for 2 years. And we know that traditional cars will lose somewhere between 30 and 40% over 3 years. So Tesla is not even close to following the depreciation trail of most vehicles. Again, that makes it another reason that people will do the stretch to get the car, knowing that their dollar will last longer and depreciate less. And if they were to have to unload it after 3 years, they would receive more money for the car in a trade-in.
And as a personal example of that, my vehicle, I just got my, in fact, I just paid my property tax on the car again this year, and I was pretty upset when I got the quote because it showed my car going up in value a couple $1,000s. Oh, that is preposterous. Cars don't go up in value. Where the hell did you get your numbers? So they sent me the numbers, and I'm like, you realize this car has 50,000 miles on it, right? And so I put that in, and they're like, yeah, take off this much money, and I was like, how does a car get older and add miles upon miles? Like, you could find one with thousands less miles than mine. And well, what happened? And I verified that the book value had gone up, and I was just flabbergasted. I paid the tax, begrudgingly, and like, hey, if you want to buy it for that, I will go buy a brand new one for less.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's a very good point.
You should ask the tax office to buy your car. Tell them that I'll even knock $1,000 off if you want to buy it for that amount.
I weren't interested. I guess they get these offers occasionally.
I bet they do. Certainly, if you haven't done already, please give us a thumbs up on the video, and you can, if you haven't subscribed, I don't know what you're waiting for. Do we have to send you an invitation? Because it's free. You're helping out the channel. Please do so. With that, Casey's going to talk a little bit about what is a vector view, Casey?
Vector view and bird's eye view are coming to a future update, according to Mr. Elon Musk. We're not entirely sure what it is. There were a couple of organizations that put they took like the BMW group, their version of the you've probably seen it on a BMW or a Nissan, the bird's eye view where the car is rendered out there, and unless they're doing some 3D rendering shenanery, there are a couple blind spots on the car for them to not be able to actually do it that way. So what I suspect we'll see is similar to something closer to what you get when you do the smart summon from the homepage of the app, and you get that white line radar view where it's everything the radar and the ultrasonics and the camera see, and it's like in a line outline. I think it'll be further along the spectrum to that 3D view that we see on the other manufacturers. That way they don't have to render the things in the blind spot. At least not as a picture. Like if there's a bush there, it might show as an obstacle, but it might not show, hey, green bush right in front of the car.
Right. Just shows an obstacle.
Yeah, and so that will help people not curb their wheels, like so many Teslas. And thankfully not mine. Knock on wood.
Knock on wood is right. Absolutely.
I saw that tweet too where he said vector-based, but I don't buy it. I think the vector-based part might be how they're stitching the images together, but what we're going to see is going to look like a top-down 360 view, a photorealistic. I don't know. The other stuff, I mean, vector views and point clouds from sonar sensors and radar are all certainly high-tech and neat. But I just don't think that's straightforward and simple enough. I think it's going to look like just a 360 camera view, but we'll see.
Yes, so you open up your app, and
I know what you're talking about, and that's what I'm taking the minority viewpoint of saying that's not good. What it's going to be.
It's going to be better than that.
Yeah, exactly.
Way better than that.
Yeah.
The other interesting note is that it was indicated in the same tweet that this is not coming to all Teslas. This is coming to only ones with full self-driving.
Yes, yes.
So that's I'd have to say that's a little disappointing. That this feature of which I would enjoy something that would help me not curb my wheels in a tight spot, even though I don't have full self-driving. I think that maybe maybe it's another reason to buy full self-driving, but it's I don't know. I don't like the idea. I'd rather it go to the fleet.
I have a couple of ideas about why that is. The first is what we suggested when we had when the enhanced autopilot came back for a limited time. I said I know that there's going to be something they're going to do to get you to make that last hop after you've already done the 4K. Hey, you want to spend another 4K? But what I think, other than that, or justification of, hey, here's why you spent the extra money for full self-drive, even though it isn't yet separated very much. That might be giving it a separation. But what I actually suspect is that this is building upon something we'll see with full self-drive, like maybe the smart auto park, where you want to be comfortable that the car can see what's going on around it, both when you have smart summoned it, as well as be comfortable that it can see curbs and children, crosswalks, and will handle it correctly when it goes to park. And literally, they just took this part out since it's already ready. I said, here, try it out while we get the rest of it ready for public beta.
Right. I'm with you on that one. I think that they were working on what Elon called the 4D autopilot refresh, and that to do a 4D, you have to stitch all of these images together in a 3D space, and then that 3D space moving through time. And so once you've got this 3D surround view, okay, now you can just take it and lay it down for a bird's eye view. And so I think that's why it's only coming to those vehicles that have full self-driving, because that's what has the computer in it to do these image stitching together in real time so you can view it.
Yeah. And so somebody had asked me if I thought it was coming to the cars that have full self-drive but only have the AP 2.5 computer. Depending on how much processing power it uses, I can see that happening. It might not be. It might be a little janky, like trying to use the web browser on MCU1, today's web browser. It could be like that, where it works technically, but it's not the best experience. Or at this point, they're like, if you're in a country where they already are doing the upgrades, it's really just a matter of scheduling it. And if you're not in a country where they have done the upgrades, either they won't roll this out, or they'll roll it out, and it'll be just a matter of time before you can start getting your computer upgrades.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't have my upgrade yet. We've paid for full self-driving, and I'm in no hurry to get it since we're not driving a lot right now anyway. And who knows when the next version of the full self-driving computer will come. We know that when they did their Autonomous Day, Investor Day, that they were already working on it. So yeah, I might wait for hardware.
So you're holding out to version 4. Is that what's going on, Patrick?
What I think will happen with that is Elon said if we need another upgrade, that we'll get it. So if hardware 3 can't do it, then I see them giving us 4. But if 3 can do it and 4 does something else, I see them putting us in that same boat as AP 2.5 for EAP owners, where they're going to say, hey, no.
Yeah.
Here's 3. This is what we promised you.
Right.
Yeah.
And who knows what's going to be in hardware 4? Maybe it's just a cost reduction for them.
Probably.
Exactly.
But it's gotta have more performance. I mean, more is all.
Well, speaking of a cost reduction, recently a Model Y owner took delivery in the Fremont area, took their car as a drive home on the 580 freeway leading westbound out of Fremont area, and noticed that there was a lot of wind noise going on, they explained, as they were driving. And then at one point, the entire glass roof blew off the car and smashed on the road behind it on the freeway. Allegedly. This has been covered by a number of different media outlets. It looks like it's the same story reprocessed, but they indicated that they called the highway patrol first off to let them know about the issue of the glass. And then secondly, they drove back to the delivery center where apparently Tesla looked at the issue quickly, determined that maybe the adhesive didn't work, maybe it wasn't properly sealed. There was a number of questions as to why it happened, but at least the owner was ushered into a new Model Y, and a new car was delivered to them to allow them to go home with the new vehicle. Yeah, it's, and this, okay, this is not a, I would say, a huge surprise. Things mess up in the manufacturing process. Some things are missed. It could be a human error, it could be an automation error, it could be a combination. But once they do happen, hopefully the manufacturer looks at what the issue was that caused it and will put things in place to block that from ever happening again. But again, do you guys think this really happened? We did see a bit of video. We did see that there was a Model Y that looked like it was a convertible because the roof was missing. But
the air's blowing in the wind.
What do you think about this?
I'm of two minds on this one. Tesla does sometimes have quality control issues, and yes, it's possible the robot was shooting blanks and didn't put any glue whatsoever in there. But how likely is it that you don't hear your roof come off the car? It's not going to do it in you would notice the right. You would notice the sudden suction. I've had hoods blow up on my cars before. Well, not my cars, but cars I was driving, because they didn't have the primary or secondary latch. I didn't know, and boom, you don't. It's not a surprise. It was just gone. So what I suspect is if this is real, hey, robot shot blanks, and somehow they were so oblivious to the super quiet car getting suddenly very loud, or it might be like a college project or an entrance to a college project to see how well you can manipulate people on social media and how well it gets around the world. That'd be worth an easy grade.
You would think that there would certainly be a rebuttal if this was a non-issue, if this was something that did not happen.
Well, I mean, it's one car. We have recalls of
Yeah,
Toyotas losing their back
absolutely.
windows. We have other
Absolutely.
real issues, like not real, but like massive issues with not just Tesla, but with other automakers. So one unit is unfortunate, but I mean, if it's real, I'm sure that they're going to get it made right. I don't. One of the follow-ups I saw, the guy said that his dad didn't want to get a new one. I mean, I don't blame him, but then the story is just a little convoluted everywhere it's been told, and nobody has gone and done the reporting. Like, you don't see anybody going and asking the police department, "Hey, did you get a call about a windshield on the or a roof on the freeway?" And I can see the people who are saying it's a hoax, and I can see the people who say, I mean, it's totally believable because, I mean, my car was with a bad headliner. They fixed it, but you know. And then
Yeah.
you have the cases of the Model X's losing glass roof parts. I mean, it's again, it's not a widespread thing, but there are easily at least a dozen cars that you can track down 100% proof that they lost either the spine of the car or the little trim in between the windshield and the doors. So I could go either way on it.
Okay. We're going to talk a little bit about the million cars produced. Elon quoted this back in 2016 with a bit of shock and awe when he indicated that he believed that Tesla will be making 1 million cars a year. And this was way back in 2016 when that really seemed a little bit crazy to be saying out loud to the public, to a news media that was listening. But of course, here we are on the cusp of 500,000 vehicles in a year. We're just about there. I believe they have to have another record quarter in the fourth quarter in order to achieve that. But still, we're darn close to 500,000. And as Patrick had mentioned in the show earlier, as we go from 2 plants to 4 plants, guess what? You're going to get to 1 million vehicles. It's coming. It's not if, it's now when. And bringing on those new factories certainly will boost Tesla into a new delivery area, which of course will get us to those 1 million cars. But just kind of interesting that story came out this week, just talking about that did sound like back in 2016, and now we can see that the finish line is in sight. So just part of the Tesla timeline that we're all living here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you just reported earlier that they made 140,000 cars ish in the last quarter. So you know, 140 times 4 is 560. So there's 500,000 plus run rate right there.
And then
Exactly.
the second China factory is opening. Well, the second half of the China factory.
Mm-hmm.
China Factory Part 2 is opening up,
But
and yeah, Part 2, and then Germany and Austin are very likely to either, if not be open, they'll at least be in the manual testing out the lines part of this by the end of next year. So, I mean, if they're already so close to 500,000, what's to stop them from just going a little bit further and completing it?
Yep,
mm-hmm.
it's coming. And Patrick's got our last story of the evening concerning a VPP. What's going on there, Patrick?
Yeah, a VPP, a Vermont Virtual Power Plant, a VVP. So Green Mountain Energy has been working with Tesla, and a lot of their users or customers there in Vermont are part of this project, and it has saved their ratepayers about $3 million this year alone. So this is great. This is exactly when people look at Tesla and just see a car, they're not seeing the big picture. That this is a technology company and cars were their first product. And they're also selling solar panels and power walls and power packs and mega packs and even electricity at the superchargers. And who knows what will be next. Exciting stuff. So this deployment's got about 2,000 units in it, And even more coming. There's an announcement here I'll read from Green Mountain Power announced today that its growing network of stored energy reduced about $3 million in cost for all GMP customers so far in 2020 by cutting power demand during energy peaks, especially during the hot, dry summer. This network includes home batteries, utility scale Tesla Power Pack batteries at solar sites, and carbon reducing devices like electric vehicle smart chargers. So that's exactly where we need to get to. If we're going to have a future free from fossil fuels, I didn't forget it. We've got to sneak it in there. That we have decarbonizing technologies like this. And during the peaks is when these peaker plants would come on. They're often diesel generators. They're the most polluting part of our energy system. And you have to have them to avoid greenouts. Well, you don't have to if you have a system like this where you have power on demand, a digital backup, and you say, I need it, and batteries give it to you. And it's not 30 seconds later as some generator kicks up and revs up, and it's when you need it right there. And this is exactly where we need to be. We have solar panels, we have batteries, and we have a stable grid, and people are saving money while doing it. What more could you ask for?
Exactly. And 2,000 units online, another 1,000 for next year. So that 3 million might turn into 5 million in 2021. So fantastic. Green Mountain Power. If you're in the Vermont area, look them up. They do have positions available, according to the article, where you can get signed up for 1 or 2 power walls and get on the program, either as leasing it at a very cheap rate or getting the discount for the rebate completely in your pocket, over $10,000. So definitely look into it if you're in that area.
This is the same group that started their program right about the same time that Hornsdale went in, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Experience with this. This is cool.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Casey's got a late entry. What's going on with Starman, Casey?
Starman has arrived within, was it 0.05 not astronomical units of 0.05 astronomical units of Mars.
Okay,
So,
what the hell's an astronomical unit? Is that
So
like
an
a cubit?
kind of is actually. An AU is the average distance between the Earth and the Sun. So
Okay. So Starman in Elon's Roadster is still out floating around our universe.
Yes.
So basically under 5 million miles from Mars. It's a close pass, and it'll probably be another Martian year before we see anything else.
Yeah, so it's in a Mars transfer orbit,
Mhm.
right? So this is, it's probably not a coincidence that that's the orbit that they put it in, because if you want to move things from Earth to Mars, that's the kind of orbit that you use, and it's one of the lowest energy ways to move between the two planets, and so this is a nice test to see. Hey, how's this Mars transfer orbit working out, and what adjustments might we need to make? Let's put something out there in that orbit and see what happens to it over time.
So the next close call it has, is that going to be Earth or is it going to be Mars?
Yeah. So the way the orbit works is it's oblong, so that it goes out just past Mars and then back around, and on the other side is close to the sun, and then swings back. So every time it's crossing Earth orbit to get out there. So where we line up is only like every 22 months or so. But I'm not sure exactly how this is the stable part of that, how it's going to work. That's a good question.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. Casey, any parting words for us this week?
Yes, I am sitting at 837 subscribers. I need your help. Please tell a friend, get them subscribed. Just this close to the YouTube partner program. There was a video I uploaded. I realized that it was missing some of the assets, so I am going to re-render it after this, and hopefully it will be back up and running before our What Drives Us Show Prius special.
And where can they find that YouTube channel to help you out?
Yeah, sorry. That is at youtube.com/Casey Green. That's KACEYGREEN.
Very good. Very good. Mr. Connor, any parting words for us this week?
Yeah, I've got a couple shout outs. I'm with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org. And for Drive Electric Week, we threw a few videos out there of some of our members talking about their cars and which vehicles they've had in the past and how they got into EVs. And since we couldn't do, the ride and drive things because of COVID, that's what we did. And we also had an all-day hangout where we had, it was mostly just us, BSing with each other, having fun. But then a few people popped in and asked some questions. And it wasn't just local folks in Oregon. There were from all around the country popping in. So that was kind of cool. And then my last shout out, last week I teased the 4 horsemen of the auto and oil industry apocalypse. So that story is now up there. And so I talk about how electrified transportation and the declining ownership models with mobility as a service, self-driving cars, and the pace of innovation are all coming at the auto industry and oil industry at the same time, and just how ill-equipped they are to deal with it. And compare it to some of the other things like how Kodak didn't see digital cameras coming, despite, we still take pictures today, we just don't use Kodak, and how Blockbuster didn't see streaming movies coming. We still watch movies today, we just don't get them from Blockbuster. So which of the auto industry companies are going to be the next on that list of companies that no longer exist? It's check it out at carswithcords.net.
Yeah, Kodak is good because they invented the camera, the digital camera, and the traditional automakers invented the modern EV.
Yep. Sounds like poetic justice, doesn't it? I wish they would wake up. I really do. Competition is good. They need to wake up. They need to wake up yesterday. So
yes.
Outside of that, I'm going to try a new thing. If you out there have a Tesla tip or a Tesla question you would like answered by the panelists, why don't you record it on your phone and send us a 90-second file or less to our email address, and we'll play it on the show and answer the question or play the tip. You can send it by email to thetesla.life@outlook.com, and we will try this out and see if we get any responses through the week. So new little thing to try out, and would love to get some of you in the audience your participation. So again, a Tesla tip or a Tesla question, let us know, and we'll try that out. So with that, we'll say goodbye. If you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up. Please press subscribe, and we will see you next week and find out what's going on in the Tesla. Good night, everyone.
Stay charged.